back to the Solitary Practice Podcast. Let's start off today talking about cleansing. Christmas is over, and traditionally, the day after Christmas is the absolute latest that we have all of the decorations down, put away, and the tree is completely removed. We burn our tree either by taking it out and putting it in a big old snowbank and lighting it on fire, or by snipping the limbs off of it and tossing it in the wood boiler. We're pretty big on reusing things, so it's one or the other. This year we clipped the limbs off and tossed it in the boiler. Smelled fantastic, by the way, but it was much too green to just light on fire, so put it in the boiler. After all the Christmas is out, I generally like to have a small cleanse just to clean out any lingering energies and kind of restore a normal baseline in the house. Usually around Christmas we get people are here, people stop over and drop things off. This year I had a range of people from the woman that I took her car. I think I talked about that before. She stopped up and brought me a loaf of bread. She makes a very good banana bread with chocolate chunks in it. Not that probably anybody cares, but she makes a great banana bread. And she brought up one of those this year. And then I also had on Christmas Eve what can only be described as an Appalachian hillbilly kind of guy pull up with a giant pickup truck and drop half a pig on my porch. We've had a range. It's not unusual. This was actually kind of a light year. We had no house guests. I did not have to feed dozens of people at every meal, so it was kind of a light year, but you still get some oddness. Not to mention, people are going in and out with boxes and bags, and that stuff's been all over the place. A little cleaning out after Christmas is just kind of my norm. One of the things I think probably wise to mention is that my kind of cleansing isn't really like energy removal. I know sometimes when people refer to cleansing, they want to get the quote unquote bad energy out. I don't bother with any of that. Nature abhors a vacuum, and if you kick it all out, first of all, your perception of what's bad and what isn't could be wrong. And second, if you kicked it out, something's going to take its place. So let's not give anything an opening. What I like to do is take the stuff I don't want and I convert it for use elsewhere. I don't leave a vacuum. I don't want it to take it upon itself to fill itself. I want control of what's coming into my space. I like to adjust the energy in all the rooms too. I like to rebalance it. I want it to match what I perceive as appropriate for the room. The entry to the house should be welcoming. At this time of year, it should be warm. It should make you want to kick your shoes off, take your coat off, get comfortable kind of thing. The big living room, I want that warm and soothing. We have a fireplace in there. I want people to come. I want them to sit and gather. Let me tell you, that holds true because even tonight, trying to get people evicted out of that room was a problem. They really like to come and stay. From there, the kitchen should be kind of joy and contentment. The bedrooms, I generally speaking like them to be kind of calming, quiet, like serene places. That does not always apply. The teenager bedrooms, it's not what we're going for in there. But you get the general drift. I will adjust all of the energies in those rooms. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have a look at it. I know where I want it from years of doing this. I've got the levels, so to speak, for each room kind of worked out what works best seasonally and just for that particular room. There's also the transition spaces. You've got to meld and blend those energies so that it's a nice seamless transition. People shouldn't notice a big shift from room to room. Also, our house just happens to be very open concept. There's not a lot of division, which means I really have to have smooth transition. Each room, I take that, I look at where it is, what it looks like, and I kind of recalibrate it. Now, I do that as I am cleaning the room. Can I do it just straight up energetically? Yeah, that can be done. I can adjust the thermostat, so to speak, at any time. But I don't usually do that. I want to assess the room, identify any problem areas that maybe need to be dealt with. Maybe somebody left something there that I really don't want there. Usually in this is a light. This is not an intensive. This is just kind of a light go over in the house. So I'm going to personally wipe down all of the walls, the ceilings, the floors, the windows, mirrors, and particularly don't forget the sinks. All of the sinks need redoing, both the faucets and the drains. Bathrooms are, floor to ceiling, top to bottom, pretty much clean everything you can possibly find. And then from there, I am wiping down furniture, vacuuming things out, all the laundry's done, the sheets off. It's what most people, I imagine, would probably consider an intense cleaning. For me, that's a light go over. And while I'm doing that, I am taking energies that I find that I don't like the levels of, and I'm either converting them out into something else. I am draining them off into a reserve somewhere. This year, I took a lot of the funky, not quite right energy, just rinsed it out a little bit and integrated it into the ground. Some of the older apple trees, they could use a little charge. When I say into the ground, it's not like at the base of the trunk, it's about 3 to 4 feet out from the trunk. So I'm getting those outer root systems. Too many people want to stick stuff right at the trunk of a tree. You don't want that. You want it out further, so you're hitting the root system. So I have all of that either siphoned off or converted over, depending. From there, I'm pulling in those particular energies that I want for each individual room. Sometimes I'm pulling it from other rooms. Sometimes I am taking energy sources and changing the nature of the energy. Pretty much anything can be transmuted into anything else to a certain extent. So there's a lot of that going on. And as I'm doing that, I am touching things, moving things, doing things. So I am knitting that energy right into the work that I'm doing. So basically, I'm smearing it all over the place. Can I do it just, from 3 rooms away? Absolutely. But I have found that I personally like the hands-on approach. From there, I'm taking a look at it and deciding, how does that energy level look? Are there gaps? Did I take a lot of junk out of here and bring back, low-key kind of energies, and now there's a gap? Because again, I don't want the house to fill the gaps. I don't want something else to fill the gaps. I don't want other people in my house to fill the gaps. I want to have, I guess, authority over my personal territory. And that's going to sound kind of strange, but essentially, there's a certain, like, the animals don't necessarily have it wrong. If this is your particular area, you have to assert that this is your particular area, and it has to be firm enough that nobody challenges you to take over that particular area. Or if it comes in there, it recognizes that you're running the show, which means I'm basically knitting myself to a certain extent into this space, which is not hard because, again, I'm there hands-on, scrubbing stuff in. I know the house knows me, I've met the furniture. I'm not sure if that makes much sense to anybody, but you develop a kind of a personal relationship. Also, if you are taking care of it, it tends to appreciate whoever is scrubbing it and repairing it and just generally making it happier. So that's a big boost, I guess. I'll do a more formalized renewal at the end of the year, and for anybody thinking that January 1st is the start of the year and December 31st is the end of the year, it is for everywhere else, but not here. Well, I should probably rephrase that. It is here, but for me, the actual new year will start sometime probably in March. So I will start my big formalized renewal at the end of my year, which means probably mid-February. Really depends on when the shift starts to occur and the land starts to move. We're already seeing a little bit of it with the sun and how to explain that. When the sun comes up in the morning, I know it's not been very long, the solstice, but you can, if you're sensitive to it, you can already see it. It's like, for me, it's like neon light. You can really see how different the sun is, particularly in the mornings, than it was even a week and a half ago. It's a huge difference. And eventually we're going to hit a point and I'm just going to know that the formalized shift has occurred, and at that point I'm just going to go into this kind of intensive adjustment phase. I will just basically clean literally everything. I'm going to throw anything out that doesn't fit with what I see we're going to need for the coming year. I'm going to rearrange absolutely everything. That's the furniture. My husband is frequently afraid to come home during these little cleanses that I get into because he's definitely going to fall over the furniture if the lights aren't on. Nothing will be in the same spot as when he leaves. There's no particular advance warning. I go when it's time to go. I don't get to pick what the time is. And it doesn't extend just to like cleaning the house. The cars are going to get a complete redo. The cabinets are getting pulled apart. I'm going to rotate all of the food stores, and then I'm going to get a jump on all of the outbuildings and the barns. Like, we go through everything, top to bottom, front to back. can be kind of exhausting after a while. But since we're talking about energy, I think I'll touch on some very complex and really interesting energy I met last week. We were traveling to tour a venue for my oldest child's wedding, and we took a different route than the one I normally take. I usually take the eastern route. You can drive nowhere here in a straight line. You have to go around. It's the only way. So we either have to go to the eastern route or we have to go to the western route. I normally take the eastern route. It's the closest, shortest way to go, but because of various circumstances, we ended up having to take the western route. I usually drive through that area every few years, but since I'm driving when I go through there, I don't usually do much energy sampling or anything while I'm driving. I'm usually concentrating on the road. I just let the information system run like it normally does and call it good. This time, though, somebody else was driving. I wanted to check ice depth, fish, energy feels around the lakes in the particular area. It's almost ice fishing season, and the men will want to know. Somebody's going to ask me where the fish are. It's 100% guaranteed. I was doing basically the equivalent of taking your finger and dipping it in the water as a boat goes by, and you're just kind of just dragging along. That's probably the best analogy I could come up with, but I had a sensor, I guess, down in there, just kind of like telling me what I wanted to know. There's this one particular area, and I haven't really thought about it, and it's probably because I never do any energy sampling when I drive through there. But the building, say building, it's not small. It's a huge institution. It's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. There's like these tiny cluster of houses that maybe somebody might call a town, that basically it's where the workers live. And it was originally back in the 1920s a TB hospital for veterans with tuberculosis, but then it was converted over to a facility for the criminally insane. And let's just say that the entire building has not changed much since the 20s. They did paint it white, but that did absolutely nothing to detract from the very horror story vibe it has going on. Like, you're in the woods, then you come out, there's like a little town, and there's like one stoplight, and you turn, and you're kind of like da 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 up the road. And the next thing you know, on this hill in the middle of the forest is the creepiest facility imaginable. And of course, we went through there just about dark, and it was something else. The land around it absolutely hates it. It's just repulsed by that facility. It seems to want to kind of like draw itself away. It doesn't want to touch it. It's got kind of like the ick going on. It doesn't want anything to do with it. I can only assume it has to do with the energy that that place gives off. I mean, we're talking 100 years of sickness, death, insanity. It's all layered and nuanced, not just into the buildings, but the grounds. It's like it's soaked into the grounds as well, and it's just kind of appears like it's seeping out beyond the grounds, and the forest is like, oh no, yuck, don't want to touch it, kind of thing. The energetic flavor, so to speak, has a lot going on. It's very complex, and we went past way too quickly to really sort through it all. But there was this, it was just like a wildly interesting experience. You're like traveling through this deep forest, and it's asleep and quiet, and everything you would expect with remote forest in the depths of winter. And then you come to like this tiny residential area, and there's a couple houses with Christmas lights, and there's kind of a subdued, sleepy winter kind of feel to it. And that's fine, nothing too exciting there. It starts to kind of like taper off, and then all at once, bam, you get this chaotic, oppressive, layered blend of like sorrow and horror and death, decay. It was an interesting burst. It just comes like in this overwhelming surge, and then poof, it fades out, and you're back into deep, sleepy forest. It was definitely a trip. Totally going to take that route the next time I have to go up that way, even if it does add an hour to my trip, which it will. 100% worth it. There is no place to stop near there. And if somebody's going to say, why don't you stop and play with it? There's no place to stop. I'm pretty sure if you did stop, you would have people all over you shortly. I did notice, and it kind of interesting to me, they have no fencing around there. Usually, if you are housing criminals, much less the criminally insane, you would have the facility have some kind of fence, split rail fence, chain link fence, some kind of fence. There is no fence. So if somebody gets out of this thing and runs off into the woods, which in some places is pretty close, it's like they don't care. And I mean, I kind of get it because if you run off into the woods there, you're as good as dead anyway, so no particular issue with that. And I'm pretty sure that the forest at this point would like to extract a little revenge. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting trip. Definitely looking forward to it again. If nothing else, then just for the creepy visual scenery. So as far as actual work I've been doing, there's been a whole lot of like event manipulation. None of it is particularly notable. It's more or less just making everything run smooth. It's kind of sad to admit it, but that's pretty much what I do with my magic all the time, is just make things run smooth. Tonight, dinner, I said something about something and my youngest piped up and was like, see, she doesn't have to know anything about it. And I don't. I just generally know the answer and can make it run smooth. And sometimes that's annoying. And sometimes I think I should work on bigger, more complex things. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's kind of fun to do silly, stupid things that just, it amuses me. If we're being honest, more often than not, it just kind of annoys me. And I'm only doing it because it will make my life easier in the long run to fix it now than wait for it to become a giant rolling catastrophe of mundanes trying to fix problems and making them 100 times worse. But yeah, so a lot of just little things, making it go smooth. Like last night, we were getting another 8 inches of snow, and quite frankly, I'm kind of over the shoveling at this point. A little adjustment in the weather made it a very fine, dry snow. It was like powder. Very easy to shovel, super easy to take care of this morning. We just quickly cleaned out. Then I got on with my day because there's other things that I would like to do with my day other than shovel snow, which I'll be doing with increasing frequency as we move toward the real part of the winter here. Let's see, what else have I been doing? Christmas was pretty low key without having all those house guests and having all the cooking and stuff to do. There was a lot of free time available, and I observed all of the normal Christmas Eve rituals. We didn't miss anything. It just much more efficient when I have people who understand what the process is, because we've been doing it for years and years and years. They kind of get with the program, and they ran with it this year, and there were a lot less of them to manage, so it was great. That left me some time actually do some work. And I don't normally work on Christmas Eve, but I thought, why not? I had time. It was quiet. Everybody had either gone to bed or been occupied by other things. So I took a little bit of time to meet up with an entity that I've known for a very, very long time. I would not say that I like this particular entity. If anything, I'm cautious of it. Years past, I could tell you that I downright avoided it like the plague. It showed up probably in I think it was probably my second job I ever did. And it has wildly intimidated me ever since then. It it's it's basically the big guns. I have made it a project to just avoid that one for a while. Had some time though, it was Christmas Eve, and I thought, why not? I'm not really doing anything, and I have the time that if I need to deal with this, I'm good to go. Because I can spend time to make time more time if I needed to, and I already have a lot of time to work with, which gives me even more time. It was kind of more, I'm going to say, cordial than it normally is. I've been kind of sensing a little bit of a different shift in how I practice, and my confidence level's been a little different, and I've been doing things slightly differently, and little stuff that I used to do, I just bother with it anymore. It's not necessary any longer. I don't know if it was really necessary back then, but I used to concern myself with it, and now I just don't. I'm kind of like letting it go. So I met up with this particular entity, and I don't know, we met on a neutral ground, which we haven't really done before. Usually either I'm on its ground or it's on mine. So we're usually in one another's space when we run into each other, and I don't know if that contributes to the discord or discombobulation or not, but this time we met on neutral ground, and things were a little bit more cordial than usual. And it had two additional entities that it knew and works with fairly frequently, and I thought, why not? So basically, we just kind of had like I'm gonna call it a Christmas Eve get together, and it brought in the other two entities once I was good with it, and I haven't met them before. One of them was genuinely good conversation. The other one was not bad or anything, just a bit more reserved, friendly enough, but a bit more reserved. But the conversationalists had a ton of Saturnian energy to them. They they practically oozed it. So it was a really interesting meeting. And I'm currently kind of, I guess, dissecting that whole evening more than like the conversation. The conversation was good. It was interesting and that kind of thing. But I hang out with animals a lot, so you don't want to just focus on the words. I'm a little bit more hung up on the body language right now. And some of that you gotta have a little give with because not all of these things incorporate forms all the time. And since we all did forms, that may or may not. Honestly, the form chosen was I'm still kind of like scratching my head over that one. Not what I would have expected. But anyway, the conversation was good, but more of the body language, the interactions, those kind of things. And it takes a while to dissect them all because you have to kind of replay that. It's like body language is not an island, so it's reacting to the other bodies, so to speak, in the area and how that whole thing knit together. Pretty good interaction, still thinking it over. The reserved one was fine, pretty comfortable with that. Still a little cautious of the one I normally see. Completely fascinated by the Saturnian one. We'll see how it turns out if I run into them again or not. They seem to be pretty interested in having discussions and apparently enjoys my snark, so we had a good time. I'll see if I see it around again. I had known prior to this that I was kind of going through this little shift, and one of the things that's been an indicator for me is color. I have color preferences. We all have color preferences, but I have certain color preferences that I avoid. Like I prefer to avoid them, not I prefer to use them. And one of the colors that I prefer to avoid keeps cropping up. It's an odd color. It is not a color that would naturally show up around here. It's certainly nothing that's going to show up in a lot of my stuff. And yet I keep running across this color, which is another thing that I kind of have to take 10 minutes sometime and really delve into why this color keeps showing up. I do know, let's be honest. I know, I'm just not talking about it here. But yeah, so now I have this color thing and I kind of have a guess, indication, feeling, whatever you want to call it, of what it's implying. I just don't like it. So I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to address it or if I just kind of want to let it percolate for a bit or if I'm going to just ignore it entirely and keep doing what I'm doing. Stubborn nature says I'll probably just ignore it, keep doing what I'm doing. Probably ought to just kind of like embrace it and throw myself into it and see what comes of it, but impulsive nature, something I've spent a lot of time suppressing and teaching myself not to act impulsively, and I don't know that I really want to break the tradition on this one. But I guess I'll stop here for today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with others. If you have questions or something you want to hear about, you know how to reach me through my website, thesolitarypractice.com. As always, I appreciate you taking time to listen. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.